In this lecture, we will discuss the continuous time Fourier transform property, that is time shifting. We already discussed the linearity property. Now we'll discuss the time shifting property. And we will discuss the definition and we'll also discuss a proof. Uh, and later we will discuss how we can apply the time shifting property to solve the continuous time Fourier transform questions. Okay. So first we will discuss the time shifting property, and if there is a signal x of t, okay, if there is a signal x of t and its continuous time Fourier transform is represented by x of j omega, and which is written by the equation x of t into e raised to minus j omega t dt, then it's a time shifted version of the signal x of t, that is x of t minus t0. And the Fourier transform of x of t minus t0 is simply we can calculate by multiplying the term e raised to minus j omega t0 into its original transform x of j omega. So it's a very simple property. Simply multiply with an exponential term in the frequency domain e raised to minus j omega t0. And when you study the time shifting property, you should also remember the two main points. That is, when there is a shift in a time domain, that is t minus t0, if you are applying a shift in time domain, in frequency domain, it's simply a linear phase shift in its spectrum. Okay, means that shift will be linear, and it is represented by the term minus omega t0. So the entire spectrum is shifted by minus omega t0. That's the meaning of this particular expression. So that phase spectrum is actually shifting. In when you talk about the amplitude spectrum, the shift in time domain will not change the amplitude spectrum of the signal. Okay, it's very important. The magnitude spectrum will not change. That is, if you are applying or if you are finding the magnitude spectrum, so let x modulus of x of j omega be the magnitude spectrum of the signal x of t, then the magnitude spectrum of the new signal, spectrum of x of t minus t0, will be exactly same as the spectrum of magnitude spectrum of x of t. So that's the meaning. But the phase spectrum will be shifted to minus omega t0. That shift is linear, so that's why it's a linear phase shift is applied in the spectrum. Now we can prove this particular concept. And when you study this time shifting property, you should also remember this point. We can prove this after completing the derivation. We will prove how we can. I'll give you an exact meaning of this statement. Now, in order to prove this, we know the Fourier transform equation is simply x of t into e raised to minus j omega t dt. And in place of x of t, here it is x of t minus t0. So we need to find the Fourier transform of the signal x of t minus t0 into e raised to minus j omega t dt. Okay, in place of x of t, here we need to substitute x of t minus t0. And we know that t minus t0, I can substitute a new variable, it will be m, and t0 is a constant, so you can write dt is equal to dm, and t you can write m plus t0. Now, if we are changing the variable, now if t is tending to infinity, m is also tending to infinity because t0 is a small constant. When t is tending to minus infinity, m is also tending to minus infinity. So there is no change in the limit. So minus infinity to infinity, instead of x of t minus t0, you can put x of m e raised to minus j omega. In place of t, you can substitute it's m plus t0, and you can change the variable dt to dm. Okay, now if you observe this particular equation, here m is the variable, so this quantity e raised to minus j omega t0 is a constant, you can take outside. Remaining is integral minus infinity to infinity x of m e raised to minus j omega m dm. Okay, if you compare with the first equation, here the variable is t. Okay, here is t and t. Instead of the t, it is written m, m, m. That's only difference. So instead of this expression, you can write e raised to minus j omega t0, which is you can written as simply the Fourier transform of the signal x of m or x of t. That is x of j omega. So this is the proof, e raised to minus j omega t0 into x of j omega. Now I can explain the amplitude, so how the amplitude spectrum is of the new signal. For example, the original signal is x of j omega, and this x of j omega I can write in terms of polar form, that is magnitude of x of j omega into e raised to j angle of x of j omega. I can put either phi of omega. Assume that the angle of x of j omega, it's equal to phi of omega. Okay, and our new signal is e raised to minus j omega t0 into x of j omega. This is our new signal. Okay, if you take the modulus of this particular signal, it's simply the modulus of if you take the modulus of this particular signal, e raised to minus j omega t0 into x of j omega, that's a new spectrum. It's e raised to minus j omega t0 into modulus of x of j omega. Okay, and here you can see the one term e raised to minus j omega t0, and e raised to minus j omega t0 means by using Euler's formula, it's cos omega t0 minus j sine omega t0. And if you take the modulus of this particular quantity, it's simply a complex number. So you can take if the complex number is a plus jb form, you need to write a square plus b square. Okay, so it's simply sine square theta plus cos square theta, which is equal to 1. So modulus of this exponential term is equal to 1. So you can simply write its modulus of x of j omega. So that is a magnitude spectrum of x of j omega. Okay, that is modulus of x of j omega. That's a spectrum, magnitude spectrum of x of t. It's modulus of x of j omega. And magnitude spectrum of x of t minus t0, it's simply modulus of x of j. So both are same. Now we will talk about the angle. Okay, so already we discussed the polar form representation of the spectrum x of j omega. It's modulus of x of j omega and e raised to phi of omega. Now the new signal is e raised to minus j omega t0 into x of j omega. Now if you write in polar form, this x of j omega, it's e raised to minus j omega t0 into modulus of x of j omega into e raised to j phi of omega. And you can see that both terms are in terms of e. So modulus of x of j omega into e raised to j phi of omega. If you take j common, it becomes omega t0. So you can see that the phase is shifted. Already we know that this phase of the signal x of j omega is phi of omega. That phi of omega is shifted by minus omega t0. So that's why the phase spectrum is shifted by minus omega t0. Okay, that's a meaning of this equation. Okay, now we'll see some problems. Here you can see that the signal is given by x of t is equal to e raised to minus 2 t minus 2 into u of t minus 2. Okay, and we need to find the Fourier transform, and here we can apply the time shifting property. We'll see how we can apply the time shifting property in this particular problem. We know from the previous lecture that the Fourier transform of e raised to minus 18 into u of t is 1 by a plus j omega. By using this particular result, you can say that let a signal e raised to minus 2t into u of t. If it is in this form, its continuous time Fourier transform can be written as 1 by 2 plus j omega. Okay, so this is a signal. For example, assume that this is a signal x1 of t and this is a transform x1 of j omega. Now we'll consider the new signal x of t, which is actually the shifted version of the signal x1 of t. That is x1 of t minus 2. It can return as e raised to minus 2 into t minus 2 into u of t minus 2. If you apply the shift t to t minus 2, it becomes e raised to minus 2 t minus 2 into u of t minus 2. And the continuous time Fourier transform of the signal, by using the property, we know that it's simply e raised to minus j omega, that shift is 2, so you can write 2, okay, into the previous transform, that is x1 of j omega, okay, of the signal e raised to minus 2t into u of t. And if you apply the result, e raised to minus j omega 2 into x1 of j omega is 1 by 2 plus j omega. So without using any other equations, we can apply the time shifting property here. We can apply the time shifting property of continuous time Fourier transform. So you need to write this property here in this problem, and you can apply the result. So this is a Fourier transform of the signal e raised to minus 2 into t minus 2 into u of t minus 2. Okay. Otherwise, you can substitute in the standard equation and you can simplify this. And if you use the property, it's very simple. Within 2-3 steps, you can find the answer. Now we'll see another problem. In this particular question, if you look at this question, x of t is e raised to minus 2t into u of t minus 1. Again, you can apply time shifting property here, but if the equation, if you closely observe, the t minus 1 shift is only in u, not in this term e raised to minus 2t. But you cannot directly apply the time shifting property, so we need to modify this equation. By using the standard equation e raised to minus 18 into u of t, we know that the Fourier transform is 1 by a plus j omega. So if you write the signal e raised to minus 2t into u of t, okay, you can write its continuous time Fourier transform. It's simply 1 by 2 plus j omega. Now here it is given, it's t minus 1. So if you modify this particular equation or the question, e raised to minus 2 t minus 1, okay, u of t minus 1, we can apply the time shifting property. If the shift is applied in all t values, you can apply the time shifting property. But in the question, simply e raised to minus 2t into u of t minus 1. So if it is in this particular form, you can write the time shifting property, and you can write it simply e raised to minus j omega, in place of t0 it is 1 into 1 by 2 plus j omega. But in the question there is no t minus 1, so you need to write e raised to minus 2 t minus 1. You can look at this particular equation, it becomes e raised to minus 2t and plus 2. Okay, so in the equation it's only e raised to minus 2t, so we need an extra term e raised to 2. So in this particular question, e raised to minus 2t into u of t, we can multiply the equation with e raised to 2 in the numerator, and in order to cancel that, you can divide with e raised to 2. Okay, so if you rewrite this, it becomes e raised to minus 2t, or you can write minus 1 divided by e raised to 2 into u of, sorry, there's already u of t minus 1, u of t minus 1. Okay, we'll multiply the numerator and denominator with e raised to 2. Okay, Now, if you write this, it becomes e raised to minus 2 into e raised to minus 2 t minus 1 into u of t minus 1. Okay. So we know the Fourier transform of the signal e raised to minus 2 t minus 1 to u of t minus 1. By applying the time shift property, we already find out the result. And the Fourier transform of continuous time Fourier transform of this particular signal, I can write here you can see a constant e raised to minus 2. By using linearity property, we know that the constant we can directly multiply here. So it becomes e raised to minus 2 into uh, the Fourier transform of the second part. That is e raised to minus j omega into 1 by 2 plus j omega. Okay. So this is the final result. So here we are applying the linearity property and the time shifting property. Here we are applying the time shifting property. Here we are applying the linearity property. Okay. Now we'll discuss another question. Again, if you look at this particular question, you cannot directly apply the time shifting property here because one term is u of t minus 2 and other term is t minus 3. So I just need to write in another form. If e raised to minus 2 t minus 2 minus 1 minus 3, you can write in this way, u of t minus 2. Okay, so if you modify this equation, it becomes e raised to, if you multiply with this minus 2, the term becomes minus t minus 2 and e raised to minus 2 to minus 1, it becomes e raised to plus 2 du of t minus 2. And you can see that it's simply e square into e raised to minus 2 t minus 2 into u of t minus 2. And now it is in the standard form. You can apply the time shifting property. Okay, we know the Fourier transform of e raised to minus 2t into u of t. By applying the result, you can write 1 by 2 plus j omega. Okay, by using this particular result. And now we can apply the time shifting property in this particular case. If you apply the time shifting property of continuous time Fourier transform, e raised to minus 2 t minus 2 into u of t minus 2. Okay, it becomes e raised to minus j omega t0. In place of t0, it's 2. So you can write e raised to minus j omega 2 into 1 by 2 plus j omega. Okay, and in this particular question, we need to multiply the given time with e square. So here we need to multiply with e square in the time domain and in the frequency domain, e square. So the final result will be e square e raised to minus j omega 2 by 2 plus j omega. So this is the final result. Now we'll discuss another question. Two impulse signals, shifted impulse signals are given, del of t plus 2 minus del of t minus 2. And we know the Fourier transform of del of t is 1, or you should remember this particular result. We already solved this particular question in the previous lectures. Del of t, the Fourier transform of del of t is 1. Then by applying the time shifting property, there are two signals, del of t minus 2. So if del of t minus 2, if you find the Fourier transform of del of t minus 2, you can write it simply e raised to minus j omega 2 into 1 by applying the time shifting property, because x of t minus t0, it's simply e raised to minus j omega t0 into x of j omega. X of j omega is a Fourier transform of the basic signal, that is del of t. Del of t is 1, so del of t minus 2 simply e raised to minus j omega 2 into 1. Similarly, the other signal del of t plus 2, you can write the Fourier transform of this particular signal, continuous time Fourier transform. It's e raised to j omega 2. Okay, because if it is minus t0, you can write e raised to minus j omega t0. If it is plus t0, the upper term become plus. So now it is del of t plus 2. So you can write e raised to j omega into 2 into 1. Okay, Now we can combine these two signal. So now we are already we applied time shifting property. Here also time shifting property of continuous time Fourier transform. Now we can apply the linearity property. Okay, if there is two signals, ax1 of t plus bx2 of t, the continuous time Fourier transform of the signal CTFT can be written as ax1 of j omega plus bx2 of j omega. Okay, so here actually the signal is given as a combination of two signal, del of t plus 2 minus del of t minus 2. So you can write the continuous time Fourier transform of the two signals by simply adding the transform of that signal. So it's e raised to j omega 2 minus e raised to minus j omega 2. Okay, by applying the linearity property here, and you can combine the result. Now if you look at this particular equation, you can just rewrite this by Euler's formula. Sin theta you can write e raised to j theta minus e raised to minus j theta by 2j. Okay, it's almost similar to that. So we need an extra term 2j, so we can put 2j here, and denominator also e raised to 2 omega minus e raised to minus j 2 omega by 2j. So this term I can write in terms of sine. So the final result will be 2j sine 2 omega. Okay, so this is a final result. So in this particular problem we are applying two property, linearity and time shifting property. Linearity property we already discussed. So before applying the property, you should just write the property and say that we are applying that property. Okay, when you do the problems in exam, always mention the properties at the proper place. So here time shifting property is already written in this particular question. That's why I'm not repeating here. But when you do the problem, please write the property before applying the property results. Okay. Thank you.